lot of realtors are walking this way, and I'm just going to ask if they know how to house homeless veterans. Do you know how to house homeless veterans?
No.
No.
Okay.
I sadly do not.
I do not, but I would love to learn.
I do not.
I do not, but I would like to know how.
The answer to that is no.
No. Do you know how to house homeless veterans?
I do not.
I do not.
Do you know how to house a homeless veteran?
He's a veteran and he would be
Come
homeless
here.
if I did not house.
Okay. We're here at the Capitol, Illinois State Capitol. This is the lobby day for Realtors. And I did make an announcement on the bus about my 3-hour course that I wrote to teach Realtors how to work effectively with a homeless veteran. Just because the veteran is homeless doesn't mean they don't have resources to use to get housed or to get anything else they need, because they do. But how do you get to those resources to help that homeless veteran get housed? I've got the class, and it'll be out soon.
Well, hello and welcome back. Welcome back. I'm going to turn y'all around. Okay. Welcome back. Where should I? Yeah, I'm back. Whew, I'm setting up the other platform. So I turned the phone around so we could see the introduction on my laptop. So I'm streaming live from YouTube, to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and over here on TikTok. Oh, today has been, and I talk about what goes on in my world, in the world of advocating first. First, I'm an advocate. First, I'm an Army veteran, former homeless Army veteran. Then I'm an advocate for other homeless veterans and at risk of being homeless. And I'm also a realtor. I house homeless veterans as a realtor. And I'll explain how that works in a moment. And I'm also, and let me write this down because I want to talk about each of my roles in this community, so that there won't be any misunderstanding. I wrote this down before, and I don't think I've ever gotten into each role, right? To show you how they all come together in what I do and what I've been doing for the past 22 plus years, working in this homeless veterans community. As a former homeless Army veteran. So that's where I get a lot of this passion from, that a lot of people ask, well, how can you come on every day and talk about this? How do you know so much about this community? Well, because I walked in my shoes, and so in this community as a former homeless Army veteran. Now, while I was in the Army, if we want to go back even further, which even strengthens what I do in this homeless veterans community, we can go back even further. Thank you for the hearts over here on TikTok. I was in the Army, and I was a victim of MST, that's military sexual trauma. And being military in the Army, military sexual trauma, coming home with no resources, being discharged out of the military with no resources. So after they said, okay, you're honorably discharged, but and the reason why we're discharging you is because of a medical issue. But when I get to the VA for my medical test, for the stress test, they say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. So what do I file a claim for? Because at 18, 19 years old, who do I tell that I have been assaulted, various times? That's the MST. Who do you tell that to? And now how do I prove any of that? So I never told anybody that. So now I am a military sexually violated female veteran who is out of the military with no benefits whatsoever, no medical either. And I want to continue school, but I can't continue school because I have no more I don't even have resources. I was really counting on the military to pay my education. You know, the Pell Grants and that stuff, which got me there, they would have sufficed until my military educational benefits kicked in, right? So that was my hope and dream. But no, I was discharged with no benefits and no resources to get me housing. I became a homeless female Army veteran of domestic violence, married to an actively serving Marine who was physically abusive. So because I am an Army veteran, I wore the uniform, boots on the ground, and I go back to the VA and say, hey, my circumstance is different now. Now this is what I'm going through and I need help. They said, well, because you don't qualify for anything, we can't help you with anything. But I'm still an Army veteran. So I never qualified for any housing. I never qualified for medical. I never qualified for my safety. I never qualified for anything. From the time I was 19, from 1984, when I initially filed, until 2019. And I was a homeless female veteran of military sexual trauma and domestic abuse by the hands of an actively serving Marine. So I became homeless. I would run away because, look, there's only so many beatings anybody can take with no help. So I'm running away from my safety and never having anywhere to go. Now I'm an Army female homeless veteran of and of domestic violence. I'm homeless now, never having anywhere to go, just feeling down and out with nothing and nobody to care. Because when I would ask for help and ask for resources, there were crickets, nothing. Family got tired. Well, you keep going back. Well, you gonna let me stay with you until I get on my feet? Can you help me, older brother, older sister, older sibling? You can't do that. You weren't prepared for that. Well, neither was I. How would I know any of this was going to happen to me? So I learned a lot of things during that process of being a homeless female veteran of domestic abuse and just being homeless as a female veteran with no resources. Do you know how deplorable? I mean, I don't even know. My vocabulary is not even that deep to come up with the word that explains how I felt as a homeless female veteran of domestic abuse and military sexual trauma. Do you know how much weight that is to carry? That's how I got here. That's how I'm able to sit in this seat right here as the CEO of VetMentors LLC and the CEO of VetMentors Publishing and former CEO of 100 Pretty Purses for Female Veterans for 10 consecutive years. I've been housing homeless veterans for 22 plus years as a result of the life I had to go through in order to become the resource queen. for homeless veterans nationwide. But I don't want to keep that title. It's enough rooms for queens and kings everywhere. Everywhere. I'm not the only one that can do what I accomplished over 22 plus years, and that was to house over 5,000 homeless veterans, and still calling. Now sending resources nationwide to veterans. Just this morning, Savannah, Georgia, and she sent me the sweetest thank you. I'm in Chicago. Savannah, Georgia, they have a lot of resources, but why doesn't anybody know? You know, these resources, it's a lot. They get over $900 million. Here. There is, let me tell y'all about this money to house homeless veterans, okay? And all the resources and how you can help to access those resources. But you got to do your homework, okay? And I'll show you what that is in just a moment. So those organizations in our community, it's 411. Let me move this out the way. It's 411 organizations that receive a little over $900 million right here, right? Now, even before I knew that there were these types of resources nationwide, I knew all the resources here in the Chicagoland area, because that's how, you know, I and my teams that I trained over the years were able to locate them. Well, I was pretty much the one getting the resources and letting them know this is what you're going to use to be housed.
Plenty Jones or Jones.
Okay, I didn't tell my sister I was going live. So this is a lot of money that can be spent on veterans housing. And this money is to be spent on veterans housing. It's to be spent on housing and housing counseling, health care, financial planning services, child care, legal assistance, and transportation. This was $818 million that went to 235 organizations nationwide. Then there is an additional 84 million in grants, 176 organizations tackling homelessness. So, you know, I share a lot of information, and the information that I share with you is for you to learn first. And I wrote all these publications right here for you to get started learning to do what I do. I get a lot of questions from realtors. So I wrote a realtor's blueprint, the veteran's path to home, navigating the path from homelessness to home ownership. I wrote that book to show realtors how they can help veterans from homelessness buy houses. This is the third edition book that I wrote. That's me back here, okay? And I don't know how else to, and this book has been out a while. This is the third edition. So it's had 2 editions prior. This was the second edition. The first edition was like more of a pamphlet type. And I'm like, that's not enough information for veterans to know this. And initially, I started going to Jesse Brown all by myself because I am a realtor. I didn't have a team back then. It was just me. And I'm like, oh, y'all need help. Oh, my God. As a realtor, I'm looking at the social workers. I said, hey, stop. Don't do that anymore. This is what we're going to do. And I wrote it. I put it in a book because I'm not going to just keep talking because you won't remember. This live will be here and it'll be gone. So get the book. So I trained these social workers on what to do because they were sending money. They were sending veterans to places that aren't even the person who said they owned it. It just baffles me, but it really doesn't, because when you think about it, and when this happened back in '07, '08, really '07, '08, when the housing bill for homeless veterans was reenacted by former President Barack Obama. And all of these veterans started receiving what's called a HUD-VASH voucher. And this is the CHA voucher, but in it, it would have a stamp that indicates which voucher it is. So for veterans to get approved for this voucher, it's a HUD-VASH. So these vouchers were everybody who was homeless, veterans. I mean, there were so many coming just out the woodworks. They were coming from under bridges and under tunnels, abandoned houses, abandoned buildings with people who were mistreating them. They were coming from everywhere. One of my veterans used to live in the park, in Grant Park. He's in this book right here. Right here. I housed, this is Mr. Bonnie Neitz. He was one of my favorite veterans. He's passed now. And he told me, he said, Yvette, there's so many, please call me Miss Jones. Miss Jones, there's so many places where I sleep, veterans can sleep at night. So when I started going to Grant Park, I would walk around. I'm like, okay, I see what Mr. Neitz was talking about, where you're tucked away, you feel safe, and you can rest that night. So that's how I know where these veterans are coming from. I had a veteran who I housed. He lived in the forest preserve, and I'm like, how did you do that? He had a tent. I forgot what he said, if he had a sleeping bag or blankets. I'm gonna have to ask him, because we're still in communication too. And he had 2 gallons of water. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you use the water for and that water for. So I got it. I understand. I moved a veteran from a U-Haul facility. He had been in this U-Haul facility for 11 months. This is him, and this is his story in the book that I wrote for case managers, social workers, and human care professionals, and first responders to learn how to house homeless veterans effectively. Because you're a social worker. Did you go to real estate school? And that's what happened when this voucher came down the sky like manna. There was so many homeless veterans just coming from everywhere. And these social workers had no clue on what to do. So I'm talking to the social workers, right, and their backgrounds. I want to know what your background is, so I'll know where to start with you when I start training the team or you individually. And that's what's in this book. So some of them had graduated, and this was their first job out of being a graduate, and they moved back home with their parents. Some of them, like one of my, she's in the book too, Marjorie. Hold on, she wrote the letter because the homeless veteran who I moved from a U-Haul was her veteran. He was on her caseload. So Marjorie said, Yvette, I haven't rented an apartment. I've been in my house for like 30 years. What do I know about this? So how do you learn to do that? So luckily, Jesse Brown VA and Hines VA had me in day one. They had me from day one. And it was the most exhilarating opportunity that I had, and them too, because everybody got to learn from this process, and everybody was so excited to know how, as a social worker or a case manager, program manager, how do we understand this housing thing? So that's what I trained, and that's what I wrote to train you on. And as a realtor, how does a realtor work in this community to house homeless veterans? Because real estate is cash. We're not housing veterans for free. This voucher pays the rent for that veteran to live wherever this real estate agent finds. So I teach realtors how to work in this community with homeless veterans, and not just using a voucher, but also using this additional $900,000 plus, right? And let me tell you something. A lot of people say, why do we have homeless veterans? Hey, Mel Johnson over here on TikTok. And I don't know. I'm not answering any questions right now because I want to stick to my topic, and then at the end I'll answer whatever questions that are on the screen. So we have homeless veterans, and a lot of people say, why do we have homeless veterans? Okay. And who's to blame when a veteran has a voucher for since April, and this is now October, and I just got word today that they'll know if they are approved for this 2-bedroom townhome in Charlottesville, Virginia. Yeah, what I do is nationwide, and you can do it too wherever you are, because we have homeless veterans everywhere. I'm in Chicago, and this veteran is in Charlottesville, Virginia, with the voucher since April, and she and her caregiver are homeless in a tent. Who's to blame for that? You say, oh, it's the government. Well, the government is allowing her to use her benefit. This is her benefit as a homeless veteran. So it's not the government. Here's the proof right here. She has moving papers for Virginia for a 2-bedroom. So who's to blame? So anywho, they go see a house, right? Here's the house. They go see one house. Okay, we like this house. Let's apply for this house. It's a realtor that is representing this landlord, this investor. So now this realtor said, okay, my investor wants a credit check, background check, eviction check, and whatever else. I mean, just a whole bunch of stuff. So now this veteran, who is a homeless veteran, because that's how this voucher is issued in the first place. With veterans, they have to be homeless. It's a checklist that they have to qualify through. It's an intake from at the VA level, and then it's another intake through HUD. But now when this veteran goes to the community and goes to a realtor or walks into a real estate office and says, I want to look at this place, I like it, I want to go ahead and apply for it. Well, okay, pay your $65 or $100 or whatever you charge in your real estate office per person, and we're going to do a credit check, background check, eviction check, and whatever else they say. We want to see that your income is 3 times the amount of rent, but based on the voucher, it should be 3 times the amount of your tenant portion. So your tenant portion should be 3 times less than what you bring in. So if your tenant portion is $100, your income should be $300. Not if the rent is $1,000, your income should be $3,000. That calculation is incorrect. So now, because the veteran is homeless and the credit isn't where the offices want the credit scores to be, then this veteran is denied. But the veteran is still homeless. So now they go see another unit with a different realtor, or even the same realtor, but probably a different realtor. And that realtor says, okay, we can come see it. We're going to have to do a credit check, a background check, an eviction check, and your first blood son check. And I mean, just, you are already denied. So now your credit score is going lower and lower. You'll never be pre-approved and get a house with this voucher, because all of those roadblocks are stopping you. But the government said, this is your benefit. This is your housing benefit because you are a homeless veteran. But you can't use it because of industry, because of this real estate industry. But housing is real estate, right? So I've been able to house over 5,000 homeless veterans without all of those roadblocks. You don't have to, it's just a different mindset. What are you really doing here? When you say we shouldn't have homeless veterans, but you put up a big trench, and that 72-year-old woman can't jump over that trench. Come on now. Then you put up a bridge that they have to walk on a tightrope to get across to the next side. How is that homeless veteran supposed to do that? So all of these roadblocks, I teach realtors not to do that. Ethically, responsibly. I'm not telling you or teaching you how to do anything illegally. I am a licensed Illinois state real estate instructor. I have a license to teach. I happen to write my own curriculum. And this is my second curriculum that I've written and introduced it to the board and got it approved. So I'm not telling you nothing to do that's illegal. But you want to learn, you say, oh, we shouldn't have homeless veterans, and get the book and read it and learn it. So that was really, I can't forget about New York. All right. New York City. I have a veteran, and I don't have my information up in front of me to tell you when I started working with this veteran in New York City who was on the wait list for a voucher while she and her family were living in their vehicle. I can't make any of this up. So there's money in our community that really could pay for that transition, that 900 million. So I did send referral letters to organizations, and she had all the information to contact these organizations. And one of the organizations did contact me back, and that was Tunnels to Towers. And well, nothing was resolved because she just told me she's still homeless. So it's a lot of advocacy work that needs to be done, a lot. And I wish I was more than I am, but I am, because I have taken the time to create this amazing book series for you to learn to do everything I do. Why can't you house a homeless veteran? Why not? The only reason you can is because you don't have the steps. This is a homeless female veteran who I housed 2 times. That's why she's in this book. 2 times. The VA, Jesse Brown VA, let her walk out 2 times homeless. And both times I got her housed. And for those of you, on all platforms, you can see her video because I videotaped the whole thing. I said, ain't nobody going to believe this. The first time, and then the second time, let me get this on video. 2 times. The first time they gave her a piece of paper with agent's name on it because they couldn't service her. She didn't fit in their intake. So they had no resources for her. So they just shimmied her on back out the door. The second time, she went to the hospital and stayed. And, the reason why she lost the first apartment, because the first night she had an episode and was hospitalized for 21 days. And the owner of the 2 flats said, oh, I can't manage a senior, Yvette. I'm like, I understand. So the second time she went back, being discharged from the hospital at Jesse Brown. And they said, well, we have nothing for you, just like the first time. So she called me again, and I'm like, okay, let me reassess this, because you cannot live in a two flat. You need more support as a senior. And she was kicking and screaming, Yvette, I'm not going to no senior citizen home and they're going to keep all my money. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. There are other types of senior facilities where you can live, where you just pay your rent. Oh, I didn't know about that. So that's the second apartment I got her. And her story is this, and it's in the book. Let me just read it to you. And thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for stopping by and learning a few things. And hopefully you go and dig in, go to my bio and get some books so you can learn. Because somebody called me today and asked me, can you help this veteran? He needs some resources. He needs some of this and some of that. I'm like, I got a book for that. If this is what you want to help somebody do, get a book and learn to do that. I'm not taking everybody's veteran when you call me for that. No, you go learn too. I'm not burning myself out anymore. So you say we shouldn't have homeless veterans, then get some books and learn how you can do what I do. So let's go ahead and read about this senior veteran right here, okay? Her name, Walker, age 75 years old. Her living situation, right? Retired Army veteran. Ding, 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 ding. That's a check, right? Served 3 tours, deployed in Desert Storm, recipient of 2 Bronze Stars. 100% service connected disabled veteran. Another ding, 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 ding. That's 2 checks. Social Security benefit. That's 3 checks. 3 checks that were deposited into her bank account every single month. But she was homeless 2 times. She went to walked into a real estate office, and they were like, you homeless? Looking at a side eye. So you don't want to take time to find out what her credentials are with the 700 credit score. So I just love the information that's in these books, because it gives you the reasons why, and also solutions in how you can work in this homeless veterans community. 22 plus years and housed over 5,000 homeless veterans. Now, for those who say, I want to provide the housing, then get this book right here. This is Innovative Housing Solutions, a guide to veterans shared living models. And the models that you can choose, you can not mix and match, but just do what's best for you. Because this is a house that you have to run, or have a manager, or somebody's caring or something, but you just can't leave people alone in transitional housing, veteran shared housing. So this is for homeless veterans, senior veterans, women veterans, justice involved veterans, disabled veterans, veterans of domestic violence, LGBTQ plus veterans. So learn the models in here and learn it step by step. And you know what? I have a private group for those whoever buy my books, and my books are on Amazon under my name. You see my name, Yvette Jones Swanson, and in my bio over here on TikTok. So, and I provide more information. And a lot of that information is, training on HUD-VASH, and also where's the money? How do you get to this money? How do you get to this money? So, because it's too much for me to just be talking about. You're not going to remember. So go get a book and read it. Go get a book and read it. You'll be supporting me. Thank you. You'll be learning how to support your community and those veterans who you say you care about, because you say we shouldn't have homeless veterans. Yeah, I'm not going to be before you all. Oh, it's only 35 minutes that I've been on. All right, let me read some comments. Okay, I can do that much. I was about to bounce. Thank you for everything. Hey, Sergeant Wolf. Oh my God, I'm just, it takes the wind out of me. Sergeant Wolf, she's had her voucher since April. Renewed it 5 times. Was it 5 times that you can renew? Oh, I can invite you on now. I see an invite button. Alexa, add this song to my favorites. Awesome. I've added this song to your favorites. I love it. All right, I don't see any questions, comments over here on TikTok. I need y'all to tap that screen though, whoever's here, tap. All right, so I don't see any. Thank you for everything. You're welcome, my dear. So let me go over here to who's saying something. Let me go from the top to the bottom. Great show tonight. Loving the energy and real talk. Thanks, Ali. Thanks for being here. What's the biggest challenge in getting veterans from homelessness to home ownership? Getting through the process. What I just talked about, the community. What resources do they have to get housed in the first place? And once they receive those resources, who is helping them move those resources to a place to live? And when they get into that place to live, who's helping them acquire more resources through the veterans community? So read some books and you can help do that in our community as well. Thank you. What's the success story that really moved you during this journey? All of them. But I could tell you some that were, let me see. So I moved the veteran out of a U-Haul facility. I moved the veteran out of a forest preserve. I moved veterans out of their car. I moved a veteran, a family of 10, out of an abandoned building that really should have been, it was, anyway, torn down. I moved veterans, I moved the veteran in one day who was running away from a mean old man and they were getting evicted. And then she became a doctor and stood over me in my hospital bed when I had COVID and was having and had a near-death experience. So that was a great story. I housed her when she was homeless. How can realtors get trained to work with veterans housing? Get this book right here. And I'm also creating a master class, 2 master classes. I'm creating, this is for realtors. Realtors got to read. There is no instant nothing in learning something new. There's no instant nothing in learning something new. So anything you want to learn, get a book and read it, because there's no instant nothing. I wish it were, because I want to learn a whole lot of stuff instantly. How do you keep advocates motivated through the tough parts of this work? By staying in their asses. That's how. If I send you a resource, no, if I send you a veteran who is in your catchment area and you got the email and you don't respond, oh, come on now. You're going to get a phone call. You're going to get another email. You're going to get a letter that's written, the congressional letters to Congress, to the state rep, to, let me show y'all. All these letters written to the senator, Dick Durbin. I mean, depending on where they are, to the Congress, you are a resource to these veterans who your agency received, because they don't have a voucher. Some of them do though. And your agency received all this money, over $900 million, and you're not responding. That's the least you could do, is respond and say, hey, it's like one of the organizations responded and said, I forgot which organization that was, and said, we don't handle that area. And I said, well, what organization in your area that you know does? Because you should know what organizations, if you receive that type of money in your organizations, then you know the other organizations that receive that money and why. If not, that's something you need to be studying, because truth and best believe, I know the agencies here in Chicago. You want to learn to do what I know? Get a book. I'm also a consultant. We didn't go over that. And I write and share my knowledge in books because I'm not going to be giving it away. I am giving it away. I am giving it away. I am giving it away. Oh my God. Right. It's in a book. Yes, I am giving it away. It's yours for the taking. I got to stop saying that I'm not giving my information away, because I am. I took all that time to write all that information down that everybody keeps saying they want to know, because we shouldn't have homeless veterans. I'm giving it all away in all of my books. I love it. Let me see. How do you, keep them motivated? Yes, I keep them motivated by keeping them on their toes, because I'm what's called a whistleblower. I've been called a tattletale when I was young. I've been called, what my high school friends call me. Yes, you need to do what you say you're going to do. But the reason I told when I was in high school is because I didn't want to get in trouble. I'm like, Mama, no. What inspired you to dedicate your career to helping veterans find homes? Hey, that's a great question. I was a homeless female veteran myself. And when I became a realtor and found this community, I said, hey, I know how to help them, because I had to navigate this whole system by myself, for myself, in finding these organizations and understanding how these organizations work. Then when I became a realtor, I found out that these organizations pay the rent for these homeless veterans that I was housing initially in wheelchairs. So that's why I don't want another veteran to have to suffer like I did. So when I became a realtor, became a writer and a publisher, I'm like, let me just put all this information in books. And if people are real serious about learning, then they'll go buy some books. What's the next for this movement? Where do you see veterans in 5 years? I've been doing this for 22 years. If we don't all pitch in and learn how to help homeless veterans, they'll be in the same place, right where they are now. I've been successful at housing homeless veterans for over 22 years as a realtor. They just keep coming and coming and coming. Great show, great video, so much purpose in every word. Thank you so much, David, for those powerful words over me. Thank you for sharing a light on veterans' homelessness. It is truly, truly my pleasure. Hey, everybody over here on TikTok. What's up? What is up? Thank you for everything. Okay, so I'm going to go and get off now, but I do want to thank you all for watching. I have another video that I want you to watch. This is another veteran in Ohio. Oh, it's like a gut punch every time I get a message from another homeless veteran, especially from anywhere, period. And this, what I do is duplicatable. It's so duplicatable. And I teach you how to do that. Y'all gonna have to take my master class here. Let me flip the camera so I can show y'all this new. Service is service, period. A senior Army Reserve veteran in Ohio reached out for help. He served 6 years, including active duty in basic AIT and Desert Storm preparation. He told me, "I never imagined I'd be homeless like this." He was denied support because someone decided his service wasn't enough. I'm Yvette Jones Swanson, the National Veterans Homeless Housing Advocate, and we are taking action. We verified his service, submitted referrals, and elevated his case to federal leadership. Join this effort. Share this video. Learn how to help veterans through our U.S. Military Veterans Educational and Resource Guidebook series at VetMentorsOnline.com/store. Oh, that came out real nice. Man, and this veteran is getting the flux. He is getting the flux. And the problem is not being service connected. That's the problem. You have to fight. I didn't get service connected for, let me see, I started 1984. I graduated from high school in 1983, and I enlisted in the military on July 22nd, 1983, just 3 weeks after my 18th birthday. I even tell my parents, I said, I'm getting up out of here. Oh, I grew up in CHA housing. And where was I supposed to go? The military or college? So I enrolled in college. I'm like, look, I'm going to do some weekend drills because I'm on delayed entry. So I want to do some weekend drills all from the time through my delayed entry weekend drills. And then I go active. And that's what I did. But my records were so messed up that they didn't even see my active duty on it until I didn't get my benefits until 2019. So that's the reason, one of the main reasons I was homeless, because I didn't have any benefits. I wasn't service connected, disabled with compensation. And I'm young. I didn't have any transferable skills that will equal money enough to pay rent, buy food, go to school. And I didn't have any skills for that, none legal. So, and I still had to be in school because I knew finishing school, I could get a professional job. But during that time, I was a battered wife all through my college years. I'm like, but I didn't let that stop me because I knew when I got finished with this, I'm out of here. Somebody gonna hire me and pay me enough where I can pay my own rent. So that's what I teach you, about this community. It's not just saying, I want to house homeless veterans. You have to get to know this community and get to know the resources that we have, get to know how you can advocate for those homeless veterans, for those veterans who you say you want to service. And in doing that, you have to read. Because asking me one question, what you want to know that for? To satisfy what? Really? To satisfy what? What's the next movement? Where do you see veterans housing in 5 years? How are you going to support that movement? I'm telling you, there are some books for you to read to know how to work and support in this homeless veterans community. You're asking me that question. How are you going to participate in the next movement within 5 years? So always put it back on yourself when, and we tend to do that, right? Or we tend not to do that when we want to know something. Oh, I just want you to tell me what it is, and I can go from there. Yeah, I wish it were that easy. Navigating in this community, for the benefit of these veterans and serving these veterans, you could make a real good living housing homeless veterans, because veterans receive resources that pay for them to live somewhere. It could pay for their transportation. It could pay for their child care. Imagine if you had businesses that these organizations could pay you to do. Housing and housing counseling, financial planning, services, child care, legal assistance, transportation. Imagine if you had a business that could service these organizations, because they have to spend this money in the community. Because they receive this money doesn't mean that they do all the services that the veterans come into them to see and that they got a contract for. They don't do, and they don't have all the housing. So they have to work with realtors, work with housing locators, work with housing providers. Yeah, that's what I teach you how to do in my books. And if you want to hire me as a consultant to help you grow your business in real estate, well, my first ask is that you read a book, because I don't come out and just start telling you what's in the book. We have to have some type of level of understanding. And that's how I start off my consultations. So you want to meet with me, you have to read. You got to read what's in my books. If you want to find some more books on the subject, go right ahead. Go right ahead. I want you to read those too. But thank y'all for joining today. And hey, waving at everybody over here on TikTok. Thank y'all for being here. And waving at everybody over here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You could have been anywhere during this time, and you decided not just to stop here, but you decided to stay here. And I really appreciate that. And I'm sure whatever you decide to do, you make the right decision on satisfying your thoughts and cares for this homeless veteran community. So go to my bio and order the books over here on TikTok. You can go to the description here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube to go order some books as well. So a lot of things you're going to see a lot of things real soon to teach you, because why not? Listen, as a realtor, I received a whole lot of awards, first of all, a whole lot of awards for a whole lot of stuff, right? And also, I made a 6-figure income housing homeless veterans as a realtor. You know why? Because they had to move somewhere. You know who paid? Their HUD-VASH, or a lot of these organizations on these two lists, or it's a whole lot of money in this community. So I hope y'all learned something today. And that is, you can learn if you can read. And then I'm also getting the books on audio eventually. But right now, pick up a book and read it. Thank you for sharing a light on homeless veterans. You're welcome, Cody. All right, I'm going to end this session and play. Oh, my name, I forgot to tell you, is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I am the National Veterans Homeless Housing Advocate, Realtor, Consultant, and Professional Services in the GovCon space. My company is VetMentors, LLC, and VetMentors Publishing. I write the books, and I also own the publishing company. So thank you. Now, this one is coming out next, because I keep a lot of notes. And so this one is coming out next, the notes book. And I think my notary, I do sick and shut in. And those are at like the nursing homes, the hospitals, people's private homes. So those are the types of notaries I tend to gravitate towards. And that entails a lot of trust. So the nursing homes, will have me on speed down. So I teach you how to work in that community. And that book will be coming out once I'm finished doing something else. That's this book, Notarization Made Easy. I'm going to put on here too, mobile notary, and then put a special chapter in there for the sick and I think it's already in for the sick and shut in. And then another book that's coming out, Veterans from Boost to Business, Finding Your Passion in Business and AI. So my passion is housing homeless veterans. And it just happens to be my business too. So when I became a realtor, I found this homeless veterans community. I'm like, y'all need help. I know I needed help. And you're not getting the help that you need. That's why you're still homeless. So let me play this new video. Now I'm playing the outro, right? Yeah. I'm going to stay on TikTok so y'all don't have to go anywhere. All right. Oh, wait. I didn't press end stream and
Across America, too many of our heroes return home only to face another battle, the fight for stable housing. Veterans are overrepresented in the homeless population, often caught in a system that is complex, slow, and full of barriers. At VetMentors, we're changing that narrative. For over 20 years, we've been boots on the ground, not just identifying the problem, but building real solutions. That's why we created the U.S. Military Veterans Educational and Resource Guide book series, a groundbreaking collection designed to educate, equip, and empower. These guidebooks are written not only for veterans, but also for the communities, organizations, and leaders who serve them. From step-by-step housing models to funding strategies, this series gives social workers, case managers, realtors, and first responders the tools they need to act with speed, dignity, and impact. VetMentors believes housing is not charity. It's a mission, a responsibility, and a pathway to restoring honor. Every guidebook in this series is a resource designed to make sure no veteran is left behind, and no community has to say, "We didn't know how to help." This is how we turn challenges into victories. I'm Yvette Jones Swanson, Army veteran, CEO of VetMentors LLC, and I invite you to join us in rewriting the story for America's veterans.